Okay, so I've got my two hot wires here in the dovetail. They're not all the way in yet because it's sort of jammed up with glue in there, but once they get hot, I should be able to work them deeper into that slot. Yeah, that one already, you can get, that feels like the back of it. Be careful not to burn that edge. There we go, I'd like it sort of freestanding in there if I can. Oh yeah, now as that's getting hot, we'll be able to get it in there. These are pretty delicate little foam cutters. You want to be careful, and they're kind of, well, not expensive, but I'd be disappointed if I had to replace one. I've only used these a couple times. So those will just heat up in that pocket. And we may have to wick a little glue in there. There's a lot of, or a little hot water in there. But we'll see. I bet you we can get that pocket just hot enough that the neck will come. I ended up switching the positions of these foam cutters because I don't think one of them is actually heating up. This one is for sure. I like these foam cutters because they're less hassle than trying to set up the old style sort of one of these things. Is this just cold? I'm going to test this one on a damp rag here and see if we get any sizzle. I don't think it's, yeah, that one's not heating up. This thing has been, I don't know. I got this initially from Hot Wire Foam Factory. I was excited to use a local, or a, you know, a made in America sort of company for this sort of thing. But they kept sending me these splitters for this system that would burn up. Like suddenly all the insulation would come off the wires, and eventually they sent me this one, which seemed to work. But right now I'm having trouble, if not both of them heating up, but I don't need to troubleshoot that right now. I think we should be able to do it maybe even with just this one foam cutter. I'd be able to get it all hot enough in there. So I have this one plugged in direct now. I don't have it split, and it seems to not be getting hot, so I think one of these is just broken now. So we're going to be, yeah, put on a wet towel here and nothing's happening. So we'll just do this with the one hot wire. We'll just really, I'm going to put it in the middle for a while and just really cook this thing. I guess I'm going to have to contact this company again and see if we get a new one of these cutters. But in the meantime, it's been cool long enough that it's stuck in there a little bit. We'll have to let it heat up. All right, we're down to the one working hot wire in here. And so we're going to give it a little help. You don't want to get too much water in this joint for a bunch of reasons. Partially because you have a chance of swelling up all the components of the joint and making it so it really doesn't want to go cleanly. So we're just going to wick a little more extra moisture into this joint, hoping that this is all nearly boiling water, but we're hoping that this will help get steam to the parts that the hot wire, make it sort of a little convection oven in there, and really heat up all the parts of the joint. There's a lot of glue in this joint, I can tell already. It was seeping out. Now let the foam dry that now for a little bit. Whew, the smell that's coming off of this now that there's water in that joint is, it's not unpleasant. It's sort of sweet, but it's also sort of like a wet dog. A sweet wet dog. I moved over to this corner because you can get a little deeper in the pocket here. And I want to get steam to the back part of the joint. I don't know if it will come like this. It feels like it's loosening a little bit. We're going to take this really slow because I don't want to break up this dovetail, and because it's such a pain to repair them. It'll be much easier to do the reset if this dovetail comes out clean. So we'll take our time and really heat up this joint. You can hear it cooking. I really wish I had both of the wires. This would go a lot better. I think maybe what happened is I shorted it out because the wires can travel up inside, and I noticed it had sort of slumped into the body of the thing. All right, we're getting to the point where it has the wiggles a little bit. So I know that that glue is softening up. I had to wick a lot of water in there because there's huge lumps of glue just at the bottom of this channel. And I might even get a booger of it coming up if I lift the wire out of there. God, these things are so delicate and they really get stuck in these glue channels. I used to use a pressure cooker with like a bicycle needle to do this. And so I'd just pump a ton of steam. That was, you know, that's the old-fashioned way of doing this sort of thing. But you end up it's really easy to blush the finish and have all sorts of other problems. You put a ton of hot steam in there. And this, when it works, this tends to be a much cleaner way, but it's by no means trouble-free doing it this way. Let's let it heat up. I can't get as deep in the pocket in the middle as I can the side, so I know I have more glue to burn through in there. And I bet you when we pull this off, there's going to be a big puddle in the back of the joint here, where all this lovely overcooked glue will have ended up. I almost never get a really clean, fast neck pull on these, despite trying lots of different ways of doing it. But it's starting to come now. You can see there's a little ledge of this neck that's above the body of the guitar, so it's moved that much. And I feel like this is a critical point because this is a point where you could really break get excited because it's starting to move, and you end up shredding the edges of these already very delicate poplar dovetails here. So it's important just to keep the heat on it at this point and really make sure that it gets hot in there. Because the more of that glue is liquefied, the cleaner the neck should come off. We'll see. I have a good feeling about this. Jinx. The problem I'm running into here is there's this big, like, snotty lump of glue in here that's just sort of sticking and burning on the wire here, and I'll have to pull out like a snotty bits as this wire sticks in here, so it's going to take a bit to melt through that stuff. And I do think I'm going to put some more hot water on this side. Got this side pretty wet. Now I'm just sort of cutting through this lump of snotty glue. If I pull it up, you'll see it's so thick that it's sort of sticking. Yeah, sticking to the wire there. All right, while that was in there cooking, I actually sent customer service email to try to get another hot knife coming here because I know it'll take a while. And I got more necks to remove after this. Yeah, we're not getting very far. I don't know if I can heat up this pocket with one knife. I may have to do one of my old school tricks here. Oh no! Well, now I really done it. All right, well, I managed to break the other foam cutter here. But lesson learned. That's going to be an expensive lesson, but, well, I guess I'll be back to this when I get some new foam cutters. Okay, it's a new week, it's a new life, and I'm feeling good. And we've got 2 new foam cutters here. Gonna be real gentle with them this time. I think it's important with these, I've seen this before, that if you're removing it, especially if it's really gluey in here, that you just that you use pliers to pull from here and not pull from here, because it's just crimped in here, and clearly it'll come out if you pull too hard. All right, so we gotta plug this thing in, and we'll get this cooking. They switched on? No, neither of them are switched on. Switch them both on. There you go. I can hear it in there. I can hear power being delivered to these new hot knives. Something I'm noticing is if there's continuity between these two wires is just interesting to me. Something I can hear. Is that picking up? Can you hear? Suddenly they start buzzing when they touch each other. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm going to keep them separated. I'm going to get some more water into this joint. Yeah, see, it's hard to not have them touch in there now. Turn the heat up. It's a little tricky keeping these in place when there's no fretboard. Wick a little water into here. See if that'll help get things moving. It's heating up much better than it was last time. And we were just starting to move last time before I broke everything. And so I think once this gets hot, it should go pretty quick. Sort of stuck in there now. Let it just heat up. I'm starting to be able to smell what the rock is cooking here, as it were. There's a big lump of glue in this corner. I can feel. I keep running into it. And you have to get enough water in there to soften it. I don't want to just burn totally through it. I think that'll just create more issues. Let's see. Are we starting to budge at all? Still getting there. We've probably been in there for about 5 minutes or so. And it's starting to warm up. I can feel it. Oh yeah, we're getting there. We're still, you don't want to push too quick because you'll take little chunks, especially with these poplar necks. You can take little chunks of the dovetail if you go too quick. Want everything nice and hot. We're getting there. It's getting hotter on this side first, or it's at least looser on the side where I can get further down. Let's see. Still can't get very deep in this. I'm hitting a hunk of glue or something in there. Let's see. I want to move this knife a little bit. You can see how scuzzy it's getting. We're hitting all that glue in there. And this is a little bit of the problem I was running into last time, is I can't get it super far into that joint. And if I move it around too much, I run the risk of damaging the knife and being out another $15 or whatever. So we want to avoid that. It'd be nice if some knives could last at least one neck reset. We're getting, it's starting to go a little bit. Yeah. We're getting there. Try to warm up this side more with both the irons, because this side's pretty loose. This side has a big lump of glue. Now we're having trouble getting it all the way up to temp. If the fretboard was still on, I think this would go a little bit faster, because it'd be almost like putting a lid on a pot. Be able to trap a little bit more steam and heat inside of this little narrow pocket. But again, like I said, it'd be so hard to hit. Trying to hit that pocket if you couldn't see it would be nearly impossible, I feel like. You'd end up drilling into the neck block and heating that up. I've done that before where you've just hit the neck block and it'll take hours to heat up from there because you're heating up a ton of wood rather than this narrow little pocket. Oh, it's getting really loose. We're getting close here. We're moving a lot now. I don't think it'll be much longer. Let's get some more. I can feel it binding still on this side. Ooh, but it's a lot more open in there now. Really pump the heat onto this edge of it. Just a little more and it's going to pop. There is the problem. See, it's like you don't want to pull this neck when these wires are still in here because you run the risk of crimping them or sending them flying at you and they're really hot. But there's also, they don't, I hate the idea of putting them on my carpeted workbench here. It would be really easy for them to burn it, but they'll sit upright. It's just a little freaky having these hot things. But in a little bit I'll take them out and we'll really try to pull. Oh man, it's getting close to going. There's still that lump in there. I can feel it. Let's see if we can take this out. All right, let's turn these off and we'll try yanking on it for a little bit. If it doesn't go, we'll put them back in. We're hot now. Ooh. Oh. I think we want to get more heat in there. It's getting close. But this should go, it should go easily. You shouldn't try to force these things. Put a little bit more water in there. It takes a little longer, but this is much less stressful than the days when I would do this with steam. Because that always felt like, number one, I would always do that in the kitchen just because I have to be by the burners of my stove. And second, I don't have to worry about blooming the finish or doing anything, anything getting too damaged. You could heat this up an awful lot before anything really too bad would happen. I think this knife is all the way at the back of the dovetail. This one is still, I don't know, another 1/4 of an inch from there. And we're running into this hard piece of glue in the corner of here. That's the main thing that's holding us up. Just have to melt that glue. I'm tempted. Concentrate the heat there in that corner. I think we got plenty of moisture in there, and we don't want it to swell up. That'll make our job harder. But we do want to soften that glue. It's getting pretty mobile here. I'm breaking my rule of trying to remove it with the wires still in. I want to keep all this heat in here. We're getting really close. And this whole side is free. It's just whatever this hunk of glue is holding us up still. It's about to pop out. We're about 15 minutes in, I'd say. Not too shabby. Famous last words, though. All right, I think it's gonna go if I pull the knives out now. This one's in there. It's so loose. There's a little bit of stuff holding on to it. I think it's gonna go. We're ripping it a little bit. There it goes. And this, look at this. That's why it was struggling. This neck has been reset before. I see wedges in there. Or was done at the factory, but yeah, it looks like it's been reset once before. The dovetail's pretty clean, relatively so. The back's broken off, which is also a good indication that it's been reset once. But I've rebuilt much worse than this, so I consider this a good success. So there she is, our separated neck and guitar. Now we're ready to do the next step.